How often does your smoke alarm go off when you burn the toast? It's pretty annoying, isn't it? But you probably think at least the alarm's working, it'll wake you up if there's a real fire in your home. Think again. The kind of alarm that you most probably have fitted is something called an ionisation alarm. And my next guest believes it's not going to save your life in the event of a house fire. Adrian Butler is a former firefighter and he's from the World Fire Safety Foundation. Adrian, welcome to Summer on ABC Local Radio. You've been on a mission for many years to get us to move away from using these ionisation alarms. Why?
Because, Annie, as you mentioned, there is a serious problem with them. While they will go off when you cook toast, in the smouldering stage of a fire, that's the early stage when it's most critical, the CSIRO's own evidence proves that in most cases they don't go off at all.
Can you explain how an ionisation alarm actually works?
Sure. Well, there's two types, ionisation and photoelectric. Ionisation alarms work off heat. So when you've got the heat like from the red-hot heating elements of the toaster or the griller, they emit submicron particles that will activate the alarm. However, if you've got a smouldering type of fire, which is what happens typically when you're asleep at night, in that type of fire, it's very low heat, it doesn't generate those submicron particles. The particles are a lot larger, and an ionisation alarm won't detect those larger particles. However, a photoelectric alarm will. And that's why the official position of all fire brigades in Australia and New Zealand since the 1st of June 2006 has been to install photoelectric smoke alarms in all homes.
But that's not government legislation necessarily around Australia, is it?
It is in the Northern Territory, but whilst it's the official position, you're absolutely correct, it's not legislated, not at this stage. Even though the standard has been rewritten, it hasn't been adopted into legislation yet.
Now, you've run a test that's up on your website. It's called the Aquarium Test to demonstrate what you're talking about when it comes to ionisation alarms and why they won't work quickly enough to detect smoke in a house fire. Can you briefly explain how that test works?
Yeah, sure. Basically, we got a soldering iron and a piece of foam, put it in an aquarium, put a lid on the aquarium and let the smoke rise. Now, that substitutes a slow smouldering fire. And in that particular fire, the aquarium completely filled with smoke and the ionisation alarm didn't sound. And then we just put a photoelectric in there and it went off almost immediately. So
pretty much highlights just how inefficient ionisation alarms are when it comes to detecting these slow smouldering fires.
Annie, but I'll tell you something which was done in America, which is what brought about the change in the legislation in Vermont. This was immediately after they saw our aquarium test. They did a test in a full-scale house that was filmed by WCAX in Vermont, and 2 years later, Vermont became the first state in America to mandate photoelectric alarms in all homes.
There's been some absolutely tragic fires in Queensland over the holiday season. Celebrity chef Matt Galinsky on the Sunshine Coast was badly burned and his wife and 3 daughters died on Boxing Day when their house burnt down. It's not conclusive what happened in that fire or even whether alarms were fitted, but there's been a very interesting case emerge in Box Hill, Victoria, that perhaps highlights what you're talking about, Adrian. A blaze started in a fire station where there were ionisation alarms fitted, but they didn't go off to warn a firefighter asleep in the station at the time. Apparently, firefighters in Victoria do urge the public to fit these photoelectric alarms, but they didn't actually have them fitted in their own building.
Yeah, look, that's really tragic, Annie. And Peter Marshall, he's the secretary for the United Firefighters Union down in Melbourne. He said the ionisation alarms, and I quote, did not detect the fire. Well, crikey, these guys have had this position, it's been their official position, to only have photoelectrics since June 2006. We're talking, what's that, 6 years ago? When are they going to join the dots? These things are deadly. We've been saying for 12 years they're deadly, they should be banned and recalled. The evidence is available. The CSIRO has conclusive, documented, empirical, scientific evidence proving these things aren't safe. Why doesn't someone just join the dots and warn the public?
If somebody's listening now and they think, right, I'm going to go out and replace my ionisation alarm with a photoelectric type, how available are these alarms?
Oh, now you can actually get them in most hardware stores. But they should do them more than just replace them with a photoelectric. They should put a photoelectric smoke alarm in each bedroom and in all exit paths. And just one other thing I'd like to add, Annie, we mentioned before about the United Firefighters Union in Melbourne. The International Firefighters Association in America, they've got over 300,000 members. They issued a press release just 2 months ago saying, don't replace your battery, replace your smoke alarm with a photoelectric. So the message really is starting to come out now.
What do photoelectric alarms look like as compared to an ionisation alarm? I mean, how would somebody know, beyond the packaging when they buy one, the difference? Can you tell?
Yeah, well, ionisation alarms are required by law to have a radiation warning symbol on them. They have americium-241, which is a radioactive substance. So you should be able to tell from the radiation warning symbol, but sometimes those stickers fall off, that there should be imprinted into the plastic engraving, you know, like they print onto the actual smoke alarms themselves, that it's an ionisation. But if anyone has any doubt, the chances are almost 100% that their smoke alarm in their home will be an ionisation. If it's a photoelectric, they would have had to have made a conscious decision to go and change it. So if they have any doubt, if in doubt, it's an ionisation, and they should do what the fire brigades have recommended since the 1st of June 2006 and replace it with a photoelectric.
Adrian, in terms of ionisation alarms, and you're saying they just don't pick up these slow, smouldering fires that often start in homes when we're asleep at night. How much time do we actually have to get out of a house once a fire gets underway?
Oh, a lot less than we used to. And, you know, they say that once the fire bursts into flames nowadays, that you've got on average of 3 minutes maximum. 30 years ago, it used to be 17 minutes, and that's because a lot of the synthetics that are in homes now are highly combustible. We used to have sofas which had cotton filling and feathers in them. Now they've got foam, and foam's actually made as a petrochemical. And when this sort of stuff burns, it burns ferociously. Now, we don't know what happened in the Galinsky fire, but, you know, a number of the neighbours have said that they heard the smoke alarms followed by screaming. So it's still too early in the investigation, but it begs the question, if they heard the smoke alarms going off, why was it followed by screaming? Why didn't the people just get up, put the fire out and go back to bed? So
we've got very little time to get out of a house, and ionisation alarms are just not going to wake us up in time.
And if you're asleep and your husband's gone and put some toast on, hey, they'll wake you up and you can go and have some toast. You have a real fire at night, though, the types of fires that commonly kill. If you've got ionisation alarms, there's a high probability if you have a smouldering fire that by the time that thing goes off, it's going to be too late.
Your message to Australians listening now about smoke alarms?
Immediately replace your ionisation smoke alarms with photoelectrics and put them in each bedroom and all the exit paths.
Adrian Butler, good to speak with you this afternoon on ABC Local Radio. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie.